What's cooking, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Thanks for clicking on today's video because you're going to love today's recipe. I am making this cheesy, spicy beef enchiladas. This dish has so many different depths of flavor. It's a family favorite with my own little twist, so stick around to see how I make my beef enchiladas. Subscribe to my channel before we start and also hit the thumbs up button to like this video. And now let's get cooking. I'm going to heat up my saute pan on medium high, and then I'm not going to add any oil to this because the 1 pound of beef I'm adding here will already have its own fats. You can use any type of ground meat, guys, turkey, chicken, or even the vegan crumbles I've shown before on my channel. Break this down with a spoon and crumble up the ground beef to smaller crumbles. I'm going to cook this until it is nice and brown, and then I'll add the rest of my ingredients. And speaking of ingredients, some of you have asked me to put the ingredients in the description box below. I have listened to all of you and I'm going to put just the ingredients list down below, but for the method of preparation, you'll have to follow the video. Once the meat and its liquids have cooked off, I'm going to add my 1 small chopped onion in here, and then I'm adding 4 garlic cloves finely chopped. Toss this around to let the aromatics flavor the beef for a couple of minutes. Then add in 2 tomatoes that I have chopped here. Mix this all up really nicely. And now for our seasonings, I am adding 1 teaspoon of cumin powder, half a teaspoon of chili powder, half a teaspoon or to your taste of some black pepper. I have 1 teaspoon of dried oregano here that I'm going to crush in between my fingers to release its herbaceous flavors. Mix this all up, and of course you can't forget the salt. Add this to your taste, then toss everything together to season up that meat. To this, now I'm adding 2 tablespoons of this chipotle pepper in there to add an extra dimension of spice and smoky flavor. This makes all the difference here, guys. Mix this well again, and now you can cover it and let it cook for about 5 minutes. After about 5 minutes, mix this up again, and what I'm going to do is break the beef crumbles more and also mash the tomato pieces a little bit so they can release all their juices and cook with the meat. Allow this to cook for a few more minutes uncovered. Now I'm adding this 1 can of red kidney beans, and I have already drained out the liquid that it comes in because that liquid has additional sodium that I don't want to add in here. Mix the beans and beef to incorporate it all together, and then add in a 1/4 cup or like a few tablespoons of water, which will allow the beans to get soft. And then you can cover this and cook it for 5 minutes. After about 5 minutes, I'm going to take a potato masher like this and start to mash the beans a little bit. Doing this will help thicken this mix a bit, but also it will break down the beef crumbles a bit more to make them a little smaller to give the end result a smoother mouthfeel. You don't have to do this step, but I think it helps a lot to keep the beans and the ground beef together when we fill it into the tortillas. Mix this all up after mashing it. Now I'm going to add a few tablespoons of fresh cilantro to add a fresh herbaceous flavor in addition to the dried oregano we added, and then mix it all up one last time really well. The meat mixture or filling for our enchiladas is all done now. I'm going to turn off the heat, and then you want to let this come to room temperature. Now I'm going to make my Béchamel sauce, which I know is not Mexican, but it tastes really good in this dish. I heated up a deep pot here, and I'm adding a couple of tablespoons of olive oil. Once the oil is hot, add 2.5 tablespoons of all-purpose flour and mix this up. I want the raw flour taste to fade away. Keep mixing it and don't let this burn, or else you'll have to start over. Now to this, I'm going to add some milk. I was eyeballing here, guys, but I think I ended up adding a little more than 3 cups of milk. Keep mixing this as you add the milk, and I really should be using a whisk, so here is my whisk that will help break down the flour lumps that you'll see in there. I was interchanging between the whisk and the wood spoon to mix this all up. To the milk and the flour mix, I'm adding 1 teaspoon of garlic powder and also 1 teaspoon of onion powder. And then mix this to infuse it into the milk. And now for my secret ingredient for these enchiladas is this pickled jalapeno. I took out one of the pickled jalapeno from the can and chopped it finely to add it in the bechamel sauce. It will add a different type of spicy flavor in there compared to the chipotle peppers we added to the beef. Whisk this up to let the jalapeno infuse that creamy sauce. Add salt to your taste as well. I added like a teaspoon and then mix it up again. After a few minutes, you'll notice the sauce has gotten thicker and creamier, and you'll know when the bechamel sauce is done when you put the spoon in the sauce, and when you run your finger across the spoon, you can see the bottom of the spoon. I decided to add a little half a teaspoon of black pepper because I felt like it needed it, but it's really optional. It's up to you. Simmer this for a few minutes until you see the little bubbles, and then this bechamel sauce is all done. And now for the tortillas, I'm going to turn the stove on low, and right on the stove I'm going to place this 6-inch tortilla to warm it up. You can even use the bigger 10-inch or 12-inch tortillas if you want a larger enchilada size, but I like these smaller ones to make it look more authentic. I'm warming these up to make them more pliable, to roll them easily when I fill them with the meat mixture. Now preheat the oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm going to grease my baking dish here. You can use any size of baking dish depending on how much enchiladas you're making. And then you just want to spray it with a little bit of oil. And here's the meat mixture we prepared, looking all good. And now let's fill this into the tortillas. I put in a few tablespoons of it and then gently roll them together. You can see the filling inside, and the size of this enchilada is just perfect. Not too big or too small. Place these as you fill them and roll them out into the baking dish. I had 12 6-inch tortillas here, and I was able to fill them all using up all of the meat mixture I made. Once the enchiladas are in the baking dish, pour the spicy bechamel sauce all over these. You want the enchiladas completely drowned in that spicy, creamy sauce. This is looking so good already. And now I have about 1.5 cups of yellow and white cheddar cheese that I grated. Sprinkle this all over because we want some cheesy enchiladas. The cheese really brings it all together. Then I chopped up 1 tomato, which I de-seeded, and some cilantro as well, and then top this all over as well. Now put this in the preheated oven for about 25 to 30 minutes. You just want the cheese to melt, plus the inside of the enchiladas to get hot or warm. Let's take this beauty out of the oven, and you want this to cool down for 10 to 15 minutes before cutting into it, just like you would like a typical lasagna or something. After about 15 minutes of waiting and letting these set, now you can cut through them and take out a couple of enchiladas. Look at how beautiful and colorful these enchiladas are. This is one of my favorite dishes that I make. It's simple, it's easy, you can choose healthier ingredients to swap, but never skimp on the flavors. Let me know in the comments below if you try this recipe out, if you change up the ingredients to your liking, or however you want to make this dish your own. This is a perfect weekend meal with a side salad or some avocado. I hope you guys enjoyed my recipe for today. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. I appreciate all of your support, guys, and thank you for watching today's video. I'll see you in my next video, guys. Until then, take care of yourselves.